The ancient valley lay beneath twin alien moons, their pale light casting eerie shadows across stone pillars that had witnessed eons of blood and legend. Carved deep into the largest monolith, glowing with an inner fire that pulsed like a heartbeat, were words that had warned countless souls. No men shall enter. Below it, in smaller script worn smooth by centuries of wind, the true warning waited. 60 dawns to run at. Dawn 61. We hunt. The legend spoke of men who dared to linger, who thought themselves above ancient law, only to become prey when the 61st sun rose over the forbidden peaks. A lone human wanderer ignored the warning as he set his camp in the heart of the valley, his small fire crackling defiantly beneath the watching stars. His weathered hands worked methodically, securing tent stakes into ground that seemed to pulse with hidden life. The locals in the settlements beyond the valley's rim would whisper around their own fires of the arrow's note, fragments of a message left by vanished scouts centuries ago, carved into bone and stone. 62 run. At 61, we hunt. They spoke of explorers who had once trespassed here, their camps found abandoned weeks later, gear scattered like leaves, arrows driven deep into the earth where tents had stood. The bodies were never recovered, but sometimes travelers claimed to hear screams echoing from the valley's depths on moonless nights. The valley itself felt alive with malevolent awareness. Wind carried whispers in languages that predated human speech. Shadows moved independently of their sources, and the stone carvings seemed to shift when viewed from the corner of one's eye. The man paid no heed to the supernatural warnings, instead carving his own mark into a massive oak tree, his knife biting deep into bark that bled sap like tears. It was a challenge, a declaration that he would not be cowed by superstition or fear. Hidden among the rocky outcroppings above, a tribe of hunters watched with burning eyes. They were not quite human, though they had once been. Generations of valley dwelling had changed them, stretching their limbs, sharpening their senses, turning their eyes into pools of liquid fire. Tall and wrapped in cloaks that seemed woven from shadow itself, they observed the intruder with the patience of predators. Their law was simple and absolute. Women could pass through their domain unharmed, pilgrims seeking wisdom or refuge. But men could not remain. Men brought war, brought destruction, brought the taint of the starborn enemies who had once nearly destroyed their world. This law had protected them for 1,000 years, and they would not see it broken now. But the camper refused to leave, even as his presence stirred unrest among the watchers. Some called for immediate action, for arrows in the night to end the violation quickly. Others counseled patience. The old ways must be observed, the ritual hunt honored. Let him believe himself safe for 60 dawns. Let him grow complacent, and then show him the true price of defiance. On the 10th dawn, he awoke to find arrows lodged deep in the trees surrounding his camp, not aimed to kill, but positioned as warnings, their obsidian points glinting like black stars. He collected them with growing fascination, studying craftsmanship that spoke of inhuman skill. The stone heads were nabbed to molecular sharpness, the shafts carved from wood that grew nowhere else on any world he knew, fletched with feathers from birds that existed only in this valley's unique ecosystem. He selected the straightest arrow and carved its head into a spear point, his voice a low growl in the morning air. If they hunt me, I'll hunt back. Deep beneath the valley floor, in chambers carved from living rock, the tribe debated his fate. The massive underground space echoed with arguments that had raged for 10,000 years. A young warrior, her eyes blazing with curiosity, dared voice the forbidden question. Why do we keep this law? What makes men so dangerous? The eldest hunter, scarred by battles against starborn invaders, answered with the weight of prophecy. Because men bring ruin wherever they go. They cannot control their nature. They cannot stay. The words carried echoes of cosmic war, a betrayal by those who should have been protectors, of cities that burned because men chose conquest over wisdom. The man had begun mapping the valley with methodical precision, and his explorations revealed ruins that predated the current inhabitants by millennia. Pillars rose from overgrown clearings, their surfaces covered in carvings that told a story of desperate war humans fighting creatures that fell from burning stars. Battles that raged across solar systems, heroes who lived far beyond normal human years, their bodies changed by exposure to forces that bent reality itself. The more he studied, the more he understood. This valley wasn't cursed. It was a proving ground, a place where the worthy were transformed and the unworthy perished. By the 30th day, the harassment had escalated. He woke to find his food stores scattered to the winds, his water containers shattered, tracks circling his camp like a noose. But the man had not survived exile from 3 different worlds by being passive. He set traps of his own wire snares hidden among the undergrowth, pits covered with carefully arranged brush, deadfalls balanced on hair triggers. That night, screams echoed across the valley as one of his snares caught a cloaked hunter, leaving the warrior dangling helplessly in the darkness. When morning came, he cut the figure free without a word of triumph, only whispering, "I'm not your enemy." The hunter vanished into shadow, but left an arrow standing upright in the earth, a sign of grudging respect. On the 40th dawn, the valley itself began to change around him. Trees glowed with bioluminescent veins, animals moved in patterns too precise to be natural, and the very air hummed with energy that made his teeth ache. More disturbing was what was happening to his own body, wounds healed within hours instead of days. His hearing became sharp enough to track a mouse through thick undergrowth. His night vision rivaled that of the hunters who stalked him. The valley was reshaping him, preparing him for something greater than mere survival. He could feel it in his bones, in the way his blood seemed to sing when the alien moons rose overhead. Meanwhile, the hunters sharpened their weapons with ritual precision, preparing for the ceremony that would come at dawn. 61. One elder whispered to another in the ancient tongue, "If he survives the hunt, he becomes one of us." Her companion hissed back through filed teeth, "No man ever has." They lacked the strength for transformation, but doubt crept into both their voices, for this one was different. He had not run, had not begged, had not broken under the pressure of their harassment. Something in him burned with the same fire they had thought exclusive to their kind. Day 55 arrived with oppressive silence. The man sat before his fire, carving tally marks into a flat stone with methodical precision. 5 days left, he told the dancing flames, his voice steady, despite everything. Memory flooded through him, exile from the core worlds, for refusing to participate in the genocide of the verdant colonies. Hunted across the rim for his refusal to bow to corporate authority. Branded a terrorist for defending settlements from corporate raiders. He had nothing left but this final trial, this last chance to become something more than a wandering ghost. In his heart, spoken to the watchful stars, he made his vow, "I will not run." Dawn 60 arrived, wrapped in supernatural stillness. No birds sang, no insects buzzed, no wind stirred the leaves. Even the ever-present whispers that haunted the valley fell silent, as if the land itself held its breath. From the ridges above, the entire tribe gathered to witness what would come, their forms dark silhouettes against the growing light. An elder's voice, amplified by the valley's acoustics, boomed across stone and stream. At 61, we hunt. Night fell like a curtain, and the man slept fitfully beside his dying fire, weapons arranged within easy reach, dreams filled with falling arrows, and voices that spoke of last chances. The 61st dawn broke with the sound of hunting horns. Arrows fell like deadly rain, forcing him to abandon his camp and flee into the forest depths. But he moved with purpose, using terrain he had memorized over 60 days, turning their own traps against them, striking from shadow and melting away before they could respond. When cornered hunters expected death, he showed mercy, leaving them wounded but alive. This unexpected grace divided the tribe. Some began to see honor in his strength, while others demanded his blood to preserve ancient law. The hunt's climax came at sunset, with the man standing atop the valley's highest cliff, battered but unbroken. Below him, the entire tribe had gathered, bows drawn, waiting for their elder's command. Instead of begging or cowering, he raised his arms to the alien sky and roared his defiance. "I will not be hunted. I choose to stand." Lightning answered his cry, lancing down from clear skies to strike the ancient ruins, setting the carved pillars ablaze with the same fire that lit the warning stones. For the first time in 1,000 years, the hunters lowered their weapons without drawing blood. The valley itself had chosen, speaking through storm and flame. The eldest hunter, keeper of laws older than memory, knelt slowly and placed her bow upon the ground. Her words carried the weight of prophecy fulfilled. "You are no longer prey. You have become the arrow pointed, sharp, and aimed at destiny." The man who walked out of the valley was no longer the exile who had entered it. He carried the mark of transformation in his eyes, the strength of the hunt in his muscles, and the wisdom of survival in his heart. Behind him, the warning stones flickered and changed, their ancient words rewriting themselves. "No men shall enter save those who refuse to run." He had broken their law by transcending it, becoming the first of a new kind of guardian. The valley had tested him with 60 days of fear and 1 dawn of fire, and he had emerged as legend, the arrow that would pierce the heart of the coming darkness when the starborn enemies returned to finish what they had started eons ago.